See if anybody gonna come through. Got a little bit late, but just trying to see if anybody wanna come on. Talk about whole thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. Huh, that was funny. And then tomorrow I'm gonna talk about when I do my regular. I'm gonna talk about Mr. Uh, what's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing? What's happening, man? Feel free to hit them questions. I told you I was gonna probably. What's up? Okay, the gang is back. Okay, we good. We good. I told you I was coming through today. It's a little bit late today because I had to take care of some business. But yeah, man, I'm having so much fun with this. So feel free to fire away. Do this thing about what's his butt from Milwaukee. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about Adrian Griffin. So let me address that. His brother came out. His brother Tad came out. That's because they're saying he sucks. You know, does he suck? No, he don't suck. But I think with Mike Tomlin and a meaty offense with a pounding team, play. But he's, you gotta win. You gotta win, and they got tapped down. So I don't trust Doc though. The only problem I have with Doc is that his track record with the Clippers. I don't Boston, and what he happened in Philly. I kind of look at this as like he's got underachieved. This is gonna be a big telling sign because if he can win with Giannis, he Buddha hurt the one that was their coach. So something ain't right in Milwaukee culture. They're there. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. And I think Mark Jackson should have got a chance personally. I understand when you play for Dallas, you selling for selling. And I might not agree with it right now. Actually going based on the obstacles, the situation, I could buy it. He's a better athlete than Brady. Is that to win without Tyreek Hill, to win with Tyreek Hill, to win with Kelsey, Andy Reid back, not having a particularly distinctive defense, but standard. He's scary. And also in his defense, this is a fact. The fact that Brady had Peyton Manning and Roethlisberger, but but Mahomes is coming up in a golden era of quarterbacks. I just don't think people understand. Brady came with 2 big 3rd and 10 plays. So it wasn't on Mahomes. Career. 6 AFC straight AFC. That's unheard when he dissed Shaq and said Shaq was only 5th greatest center ever. That's a bit songs in the same sentence with Brady and Montana. That I will, because you're not gonna have. I didn't. He surpassed Aaron Rodgers to me. He surpassed Peyton Manning. And gotta remember something. They had to move Manning out the AFC East, and he had more Adrian James, and he had Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison. Come on now. And there is no Marshall Faulk on Kansas. Tyreek Hill is still writing his chapters. Yeah, well, the only because Tyreek had a chance to stay with Mahomes. I can make my money endorsements and what have you. If I want the spotlight, I go play with Tua. But Tua ain't Mahomes. And that alone, quarterback. Because look at his score said he's more than made up for it. And he's making his money in endorsements anyway. And I bet years they'll restructure the deal. Mahomes will get a nice check. And it's already on the boards. As long as he stays straight laced, doesn't ruffle no feathers, and doesn't, and he's not a bunk dancer, but he's acceptable. He's accessible. Got a chance. I think the world of him as a quarterback, though. So, and I don't think he's corny per se. He fits in. But I like Mahomes. Matter of fact, I make no secrets about it. Even a Buffalo Bills fan, I would have loved to either drafted him or Lamar Jackson. I make no secrets about it. No diss to Josh Allen, but I saw this kid coming in college. Sometimes I see somebody. That's how I felt about him. It's just like dealing with Brady all over again if you're a man. It'd be it'd be hard. It'd be a sad sight if he doesn't. But that don't necessarily mean nothing because Brady went elsewhere. Montana was away and paid. Ever was a guy. Father reminds him. I don't have any. I don't get any sense of Tim Scottism from him. Okay, I think he's a brother. I don't feel that he's shuffling. I like Mahomes. I mean, he all right. Until I see why. I know one thing. His brother is a brother. I know that. That's why brother. But I like Mahomes. I like Mahomes. Um, Sad that he goes against my team, and he's just like it's like watching Tiger Woods. You But more often, you're gonna get a Sergio Garcia. Of course, he moves. He reminds him a bit of him too, except for the curly kneel, agility, throw that ball on the run, keep plays going. You gotta like that. You know that's what I. That's that's the thing because guys can do it, but can you get to the next level? And see, you asked me which quarterback I thought was gonna give Mahomes situation. Lamar is bad though, different breed, and a lot with Lamar is predicated on the integral parts he has working in unison with him, meaning how they counter with their receivers, their running, little simple things that they do. That's what's going to defy his thing. It's just that the groove he's in. But see, Mahomes is one of those guys, it doesn't matter. Clutch. He don't let his team. They play for him. He got in. I'm gonna tell you how bad he's so great. He got Andy Reid looking like they got people gonna tell you that if Andy Reid wins another ring, he's sitting at the main table. He got people, and you depend on where you achiever no more. And I know Andy Reid got to count his lucky. That's why he do those State Farm commercials with him. Because things he made Andy Reid go from a guy who was in that Marty Schottenheimer class right behind the Shula, behind those guys, Joe Gibbs. And you know, just saying, Andy Reid was one of the worst clock management. Guy could coach up to offense, but he couldn't be. He wasn't a finisher. Most guys who are Andy Reid's shoes end up more like George Carl or Marty Schottenheimer. They don't end up like Rudy Tomjanovich. They don't end up where they get the rings. Somebody else has to move you can make when he got him. Okay. So, all right, feel free. This is going good. Feel free. What I would do with Lamar, I make and run options on you because he wants you. That is that he want to make him have to throw the ball. You throw across to the middle of the field. He stands and he starts to take off. So you have to have spies with him. So I'd make him me in the trenches. I'd make him beat me over the middle. Don't want to get into a foot race where you have to play, defend. Him have to work. You want if they need a playmaker. They might not be able to keep Stephon Diggs. They need a playmaker. They need a playmaker. They need a counter. I love James Cook. Cook's cool. Stephon don't work out. You need what I call A to A1 wideout. Party started because anything. I think the offensive line did pretty good, but the receiving core they got to get a top tier flight guy. Then the They need a playmaker. And without that, and I need to upgrade on the elephant in the room. Sean is not the answer. It's cute, but 5 straight years and you lose 5 different ways, you got to make a change. Got to make a change. And if they don't let him go this year, he definitely be gone. But just be consistent. I mean, and you got hot. You're not that far off. I think LaFleur needs another personnel because he tends to get out coached in certain things he doesn't pick up. Because I do think that game against was. So it's some like subtle. You're not that far off. Far off. I see North to get Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. And but you know, so I'm just saying, you know. But you're not that far off. You're not that far off. Because you, as a matter of fact, you spanked that. Don't think you that far off. Not that far off. Hard to say. Hard to say. If it's a low scoring game, that favors Detroit. Frisco needs to show out and show off. They're very lucky against y'all. And if Jared Goff has any kind of time and the way they kind of maneuver around, when it came to Super Bowl, and that was the difference in that game. Team that's poised. You know, even though they tried to get cute against Dallas, they they are a poised team. They showing Campbell's got them. He didn't coach them up, so you're gonna have your hands full. You know, if I'm Detroit, I make Purdy beat me. You stack the line. You said Mac ain't getting off. Devo ain't getting off. Mr. Purdy, you on stage one. So that's how I look at it. Because Purdy's got to show. This is where he got to show it off. It's gonna be one of those kind of games. I don't know if it's gonna be low scoring. I hope not. For Frisco's sake, it better not be low scoring. Detroit's sake, they steal the game. They steal the game. I say they steal the game because they won't make the kind of mistakes Dallas made. High scoring game favors Frisco. And most of the times when I see Frisco, they got to put 3 touchdowns up. They don't do well in low scoring games, especially if you make them play ugly. If I'm Detroit, I take a look out that matter of fact, he should have charcoal on one of his cheeks because I don't know how many more years he gonna get. Now he's stuck with Purdy, and I'm like, you are looking a lot like the Dodgers. I say the Frisco's like the Boston Celtics of the NFL right now. You got That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But see, they got you thinking that Shanahan is some guru because that's what you're gonna get. You know, I'm like, you done been here enough years, so sooner or later, it's put up or shut up, and it ain't gonna get much better. John Lynch and them, so that's just the fact. Yeah, they ran Dungy out. I remember when you asked me about Keyshawn. I remember about that. So I'm kind of tired of Shanahan now. Whole thing. You can't even get to the show. You better win. Period. He coaches up well, but they got expectations. They got too much talent. You got two arguably league MVPs, and you got a guy like D. If you don't come correct, but they're not anything though. Um, uh, 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 um, um, coach. Let me get him real quick. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. They don't have a running game. Tony Pollard style would not go with what they do. He utilize. So that was just a no go. It was a no go. Parcells was also longer in the tooth at the time, so he was out his element at that time. You know what he was able to do in New England, getting a runner up, getting them to the Super Bowl after after the Giants' success was different. But when it had game had changed, Belichick would find that out too because he could get the just don't feel comfortable with that, and it's a very touchy call because what you gonna do? And you can't trust Belichick after Mac Jones. You know, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. From Belichick, I don't think whatever I do, I don't go there. Shoot, thank you very much. They are. Um, I wish Chappelle about dissing because um, it isn't really relevant. I mean, think about it. You're mentioning Steve Harvey years deep in his career, Cedric. You're bringing up water over a bridge, which these guys are not really, you know. But it's the way he went on, like it was some revelation, you know. Uh, and ain't exactly in a situation where he's exactly Michael B. Jordan. He said about Jonathan Majors, but if he came out and said something about Michael B. Jordan, okay. If he talked about that Sterling Brown, he talks about cats of people that are happening in the immediate. The master on show, you know. So it's kind of like it's not really, but I dare him to go and say something about white counterpart. I dare him to get out there. It'd be like if a white comedian got on there and dissed David Spade, and they talked about what I call third tier white boys, or they came out to Ryan Reynolds, or they came out to Cook or something. That's what it's like. Well, you know how I feel about Chris Rock, you know, and he's a one note Johnny. He thinks he's like on some Black Bob Hope tip with the one lines, but see, Chris Rock ain't really had a. They actually Will Smith did do him a favor by kind of bringing him back because Chris Rock been so dusty. A cats came along and left him in the dust. Yeah, you could tell Chris Rock is funnier than Kevin Hart, but Kevin Hart did the same thing as a comedian. That's what Chris Rock did when he did the Longest Yard. Remember, at that time he couldn't carry a movie. That's something that Cat ain't address really. He don't carry movies. Successful black comedians have to be. That's almost like a requirement. No, because they are not on the same caliber. Pryor told you his whole story. He was uncut. He dropped the T tag in your face. Red Fox told you the story. Let it be known where it was. Went to roast, talk right there and there. And Murphy told you about Sylvester Stallone, told you about Italians, told you about, without being non-political but political. Because he was so caught, but he could throw in the fields. You know how he did that routine. See, he said it in a way that he could knock both out the box. So he did that real clever, real smooth. But now Rock and Hart ain't gonna never come out there, and neither will Cat. They don't, you know. Yeah, Bernie Mac was again in that business. It's called show business. However you get your bag, they all end up working together. We pick who we think is funny, and we pick on who. Obviously, I know about Steve. Ain't nothing no secret about Steve. And Steve ain't a nice dude, but Steve done something to keep his bag flowing. Obviously he didn't. He was the modern day upgrade of Sinbad. Went to the Bill Cosby School or crossover. Hewley rubbed shoulders with Bill Maher. I see how he gets down. He keeps himself out there. Also going. He always is the sidekick to the sidekick. Got that corny show on CBS, but he keeps him a bucket. He keeps him a bag on. Well, yeah, because the thing about black folks can always clown and cap on others, and it's funny, like if they cap on something that cracks you up. But when they crack on somebody white, like you hear brother go, "Oh, sure, I just wonder how it's gonna be here." A whole lot they get into that white voice because it's like, "Oh wow, yeah, sure, it's a nice day. How you doing?" Like I tell you, I got a funny story. I saw a black woman that was a real estate agent recently, and she dabbed me up. We gave each other a pound, and she was cool. White dude, he got all like, or he gave me. If you know what I'm talking about, you ever get a handshake from somebody? If they don't shake your hand, that's a half a shake. To get this handshake, so and he knew how to entertain, and him and Cassell fed off each other. And Ali told you what he felt. Now you don't have no black athletes saying that because now it gets all serious with people like Ali. The next message. See, that ain't changed. They aware of what you're saying. You know, they're aware of what you're saying. Ali was a cat that spoke his mind, put himself out there, and was willing to give away his freedom. Said whatever. You don't have that no more. So now black athletes or entertainers, they either gonna go all the way with it, or they gonna get white ball. They're gonna get taken. Something's gonna. So, but Ali, he was front and center with that though. So, you know, that's a bygone era though. Kim no more. So, but that at that black school was a couple here that big old meltdown. People aren't as offended as they once were, and they don't call white folks out on it as they once did. Not in all circles. Some don't. It's a different. Their own, then you can't expect others to respect you. No one's holding it accountable. So you can't really. Yeah, yeah. And other black said, remember when Tupac came out and said that? Well, there's the in man. Don't say that, man, because you sound ridiculous. But I don't like when they talk about Pac too much because Pac got bought. Pac was talking real talk, and he did go through some stuff. I remember. I watched both Roots. I watched the Roots from the 70s, then I watched the part two, and then I watched the modern day when it came out in 2016. How older is because people can say, like, I just got to doing a video with Jane Fonda. Makes me fired up to get you because you see how you still see segments of it in today. So if it's still relevant to what you're seeing in this day and time, it's there for a reason. It's not just a made for TV, it's real. Of people who don't really have a true home You know, you're in America, you're a hyphenated American, you're not fully. And in Africa, you're not been fully accepted to go back because you don't know together. People have made hundreds of millions of dollars off of you. They really hit hard. They hit hard. Around 76 and Trump and Nikki Haley and some of these idiot racist idiots can come and try to downplay it and say stuff because they didn't who got dealt with Jim Crow, which you know, back. People don't even understand the history of Jackie Robinson, or Brown versus Board Education, and what Thurgood Marshall went through, nations and all this stuff. They still come up with black first. Oh yeah, she disowned her own self. That's why Nikki Haley sold out. You know, oh darling Nikki. Non-black folks is being sellouts because somehow they get a pass. She don't get no pass from me though. She's sold out. In fact, sellouts that are non-black are even worse than black sellouts because in their identities. They really go on witness protection program. Going in the mafia with they're doing even worse, you know. And I'm not condoning the Orioles and those don't change. It's got to do with how you and they get y'all here talking about you don't see this, you don't see that. So, but yeah, I know how bad she got. So, and that's the only way she could get the platform she got. Because if she hadn't downplayed her Indian heritage, I don't think just like Vivi, that's what it shows you. These they'll just say, you know, because you're black. But you up there shuffling and tap dancing and windmilling and popping and locking just to be, you know, like you an actor. And they ain't gonna trust you either. Because that's what that means. Because they know how racist the country is without saying it. You're trying to judge. On one hand, on one hand, because of how conditioned in how America does you, the reason why they are able to not get caught out all the way is because there is acting. I mean, let's be realistic. Black folks was really to get free and get together. America would be done. They won't. They won't. They're not gonna save nobody. They're gonna, you know, they're gonna try to save the masses. See, that's how the pros and cons of it. That's the pros and cons of it. That's the, But the thing about it is that, you know, you see it in front of you, you know. It's kind of like when I saw Vivica A. Fox saying she can't understand Taraji because she said she don't want to, because she knows that if she says the right, they got him so shook. They got you shook. So that is the reality. People just don't understand. It goes deep, you know. No, he had every right to him because he's underachieved. You can't be popping off with the top tier kind of arm skill and the fumble and just kind of like, oh well, he draw his teammates around him. Something is off. No, he's easy fodder to get roast. Rob Parker dissed him too. I didn't see all of it. I was going to check. No, Stephen A. just don't finish like he's supposed to. Problem with anybody coming after Josh Allen. What's up, man? What's up? Why you doing it? You want to talk about you from? You want to talk about them Sixers, those Phillies? I just let me know. Drop it. We can hit on all of it. I'm sure you got some. I believe it, but it's also his coach too. I mean, I just think that Nick Salami, that's what we'll call him. He's getting out coached, and he's got that runner up Super Bowl to fall back into. But I'm gonna tell you something. This ain't the Jeff Fisher Price days with Tennessee where you're gonna get to sit there and coach for 30, 50 years because you got a runner up appearance in the Super Bowl, runner up ring, whatever. And Jalen Hurts is not the kind of guy becoming. But that team quit. They didn't necessarily, I mean, they got smashed by Frisco, but the team quit on the coach sink in. I saw it. I think Nick Sirianni's in a lot of trouble. And if they come back flat 6, 10 games next year, he's gonna be salami. They're in a lot of trouble. He in a lot of trouble. But no, Steven, they had every right to go after Josh. He sat there for like 30, 50 years, and he will still be here looking like Jim Rome. Been sitting there forever. Yeah, thank you, PM. Cause see that body language, that game against Tampa. Forget tackle football. It wasn't even playing flag football. They just don't. It's embarrassing. And the way they lost to Arizona at the crib, let Kyler Murray get them like that. Just they just folded like a chair. And Frisco beat them up like a pimp on the sidewalks at the Greyhound car. Beat them up because I just look at him like him an old Fisher Price Rucker kind of corny because he sat there for like 30, 50 years. I'm like, okay, runner up years ago when you lost to the round that close by the end zone with Air McNabb. I just thought he was some toy coach. We remember diss him all the time because it was like, how's he still got a job? And they kept giving him contract renewals. I don't know if you remember that one game when he got that big contract and they went to Foxborough and Brady and them smashed him, beat him up. And he just, let's see, I mean, what kind of film footage he got? He got the guy creeping. He got this guy out here with the Starburst crew or something. Because I'm thinking, how he be still on the sidelines with a job when they ain't done nothing? With him and yeah, he was. Yeah, he was quarterback. Vince, he just wasn't wanted in the league. But I don't care what nobody says. He moniker with Linda White going forward on fourth down. They can go to Reggie Bush and Matt Lauer. I'm looking at Matt Lauer. I'm like, come on now. That was the good in the NFL, but he never had a chance though. Never had a chance. So I don't think much of Jeff Fisher. He looked like one of the militia cats anyway. Looked like he beat a, you know. I just never really was a coach. And I never forgot that too. And I just was wondering how this turkey still got all because that appearance should except for but Fisher, he stayed and he wasn't that memorable. So you know. It's been with like I said, a lot of politics. Yeah. Coordinators? Well, hmm. Obviously you're gonna say Belichick. Obviously you're gonna say at that time when they were so dominant, the way even though I got to think about who was the Frisco coordinator back in '84 because the 49ers predated everything Chicago did. Everything, you know. But part of the teams that were dominant. Something else because if you remember when they played Dan Marino and it was like you couldn't hit the knees or there was a certain technique and Marino was all up and up. But yeah, yeah. So um, I had a they all usually turn out to be head coaches and that whole thing with the Oilers was comical with the punch on Tom Andrew, but I think he was offensive though. But um, you know, there are guys that I admire. It's more like with the organizations, with the teams that I saw, because again, you when you think about the Purple People Eaters of Minnesota, the Maurice Clarett one was I want to say that Bama Clemson game that was pretty close. Michigan won. Didn't really call it a great game though, but better than they missed last year though. My favorite one's got to go back to Nebraska or Oklahoma back in I'm in them Orange Bowl classics. Those were my favorites, if I'm honest. Yeah, those games were classic. When Tom Osborne was day when the bowl games on New Year's meant everything. Obviously, North Carolina, Georgetown, Houston, North Carolina State. Most of the ones in the 80s. Hey, because I'm gonna tell you something. College basketball ain't really been college. Um, I could maybe make a case past 95 or so, but it's hard to. Even though I did when when Noah was Noah when but and I got no problem with it. But that was just better basketball then. Sorry. I can't compare nothing to it because I saw guys and you can't possibly, you know, or Melo for 1 year. Now, however, it just was a Michigan. That Michigan North Carolina was a tough game, but therefore, all my favorite college. There was a couple of games that came out in the past few years, but the ones you had the best talent, the best teams. So that's where I'm coming from. The college basketball players ever, even though if you ask me about his NBA career, probably in the 20,000 stack. But college basketball, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, there's some had memories, but I'm just one of those kind of people that when you don't have the best, missed out by not having to see something about James Worthy and Jordan. I see Olajuwon and Ewan, you know, um, guys playing all the way through. It was, you know, Houston, UCLA, those UCLA teams, all that stuff. You've been deprived of for like when Garnett and then Kobe left. So we will never know what it'd been like to have seen it. In college basketball now, it's just different. I don't know what that will do. I don't know what getting Grant will do. Robert Williams, I could understand. I don't know about Grant. You know, Pat Riley's they up to something. It's him and Spo up to something. I just don't know who they can get that can sweeten the pot though. They need to get someone to sweeten the pot. Sweeten the pot. I'm talking about a money cat. I just don't know who they could get. That's the thing. That's what's missing. That's the only thing reason why he ain't. I already believe they can come out the East no matter who's on. One Victor is nice, but he got barbecue chicken up by Joel Embiid. They are a. They're just a. They're not. They really stink. And when Pop had the Spurs, it's top tier. Oh, what they do is they first of all in the East, those teams beat up on each other. And I'm gonna be real with you. If Miami beats Milwaukee, they're going to the show because till Embiid stands up and can bring it in the postseason. I don't trust Boston. To me, that's just a cute team. The Dodgers are baseball, 49ers are football. Tatum and Brown don't do nothing for me. Yeah, I know. I know. But what's he gonna do in the postseason? And let me see what Mr. Joker. Do you see what Mr. Jokic did last night? And they not even full throttle. That's how scary Denver is. He just quietly puts up his triple double quietly in his MVP conversation, and they're West again. That's the baddest cat going in the NBA. Jokic to me. I know Embiid will get the MVP, and his numbers are crazy, but I got to see what he does in the postseason. He got to put him and Maxey and them got to put that team on them. And Tobias, they got to do it. Nick Nurse is the best fit for them, but until he does in the postseason, it's just stat padding. And the East to me is open because that's why they made a move in Milwaukee. We'll see what happens. Giannis should come out the East. He should own the East. Yeah, I know about him. Well, D'Lo is what we call a turnover guard. Remember, they had him before, and he was a snitch. You remember him with Swaggy P, that whole thing. He didn't really, but when he don't score and he don't play no defense, he's a liability. Braun is booked to cover his behind because LeBron does full throttle, and he needs him to cover up and come up as a third option because that white boy, Mr. Reeves, ain't looking so rosy right about now. That's the problem. That's the elephant. But they don't want to unload Reeves, but they may have to if they can. They got made because they don't play defense and they don't have the consistency. Some That's what Mr. D'Lo is dealing with. But he's not that dude. Yeah, they do. Um, that's it. So blown that he's such a great center, he'd be perfect there. Andre Drummond talk all that hot air. He'd be exactly what they need if he was actually putting his money where his mouth is. And he talked too much game. They're not that far off, but they got to play some defense. That's the problem I have with them because I think Shea could be MVP discussion, but they just play too much passive defense and they too loose and too light in the cakes. That's the problem I have with them because that should be a team that could be on the come up. If they could get some stops, they could be a problem because hold on the west aside from Denver. I'm not. I don't trust OKC quite yet, and I don't trust Minnesota. Just saying. That's the only reason that gives LeBron and some of the bottom feeders some hope. They could get hot, they may catch them. But they know who they don't want to play. And that's no disrespect to Anthony Edwards, but Cat put up all them numbers, but they soft. They soft. So I like the Thunder too. I think they need a guy that can create his own. I don't think they necessarily need an all-star. I think they need a guy that can create his own. I think if they had a guy that was kind of like like a Jimmy Butler with them, they would be dangerous. They need a meaty kind of dude that can go off, but yet it keeps it composed. It's hard. He does. Mindset didn't work. Harden was not really in LeBron built to touch the rock. They need to feel it. 12 to 15 assists a night and get 5 or so points off, get more assists, more rebounds. I know you know what? You asked me this, and that's almost like a Rudy Gobert situation. Long in the tooth. and he is injury prone. He's not consistent. He gonna still score a lot of points. And I'm gonna tell you something. He'll probably make it to 40. I give him about 2 or 3 more years where he'll score crazy. I think he'll probably got a chance to pass Kobe on the scoring list or come close to it because if he has a couple big years, he could. But is he a title type of dude at this stage? I'm not seeing it. Phoenix got to show me something on some defense. And, unless he decides to go into that Mamba mentality and start to be a monster and command more scoring and actually puts his scoring average. So I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't really want him. I would have wanted him if this was 3 or 4 years ago, right? When I don't know. He ain't never going to no San Antonio. And they don't have there's no hope there. They don't have they need Parker and Ginobili to return back to the future. They need point guards. They need somebody that could a whole different way, you know. To me, KD should have stayed in Golden State. I'm one of the few people on the planet that's gonna say that he played his best ball with Golden State. I know best. No, Victor don't want to play with KD, not at this stage. KD's stat pattern at this stage. He ain't winning, you know. Obviously you see what's going on with KD and Devin Booker, so he sure as heck ain't gonna go play for a kid that is on the to be postseason worthy. KD ain't got that kind of time. And him to Miami would have worked 3 or 4 years ago, not now. And could he work with Bam and Butler? Butler ain't the kind of dude that can swing like that. So do you got to put Durant with somebody who's his equal. That's why him and I'm gonna tell you like this of their era dominance alpha. No disrespect, but you see how Durant with Steph, it was on another level. It was LeBron's hair falling out. He was going trying to find hair from anywhere to cover that spot, but scary because you expected them to go for the chip win. That's when you're dominant, when you got the right fit. So no, Pat Riley does go after. It's just that he looks for that big fish. Um, and obviously Dwayne Wade is the greatest Miami Heat player in the culture, and he deserves a statue. However, this is PR move because remember Wade left, came back, they underpaid him. That is cheap, but then he got ownership with Utah, so Riley's got to do a big PR move. They got to try to lure whoever that dude is. This is some PR marketing going on, and Riley ain't afraid to go roll. Who can you call? I mean, you want my honest opinion? It's a bit of a wild card, it's a wild stretch. They don't, and they underachieve. Or Anthony Edwards gets tired of Minnesota. Come back to this live stream. Pat Riley. Check out these rings because that one of them kind of cats. It'll come up about Greg Popovich. Um, talking about lack of fundamentals. But I also go into these coaches. It's not just the quarter; it's the coaches. The coaches don't don't have an overview of it. Um, um, fundamentally, and I saw where old Alex Smith was crying and Randy Moss crying. I'm like, y'all need to shut up. I said, look, Alex Smith, you lost your job to two couple of cats. You can't say about how it was. They are bums. I mean, I'm surprised Mayfield belongs getting this maximum deal. When we know his butt was crawling to get, and all you got to do is look at the NFC. Tired and Aaron Rodgers today. Second tier, third tier guys moving up slots. But how many of them are really that great? That's why Cam Newton was able to get at. They are bums. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback. I can name teams by one by one. Minnesota's situation is deplorable. Arizona, you go down the line. Washington, the Giants. Come on now. It's a sorry state of affairs in a lot of these places. So it is. But it's also, they're trying to do things on the fly. It takes time to develop a quarterback and it takes time to get the right player, the right system. When you miss bad. Yeah, he did. Doc, but the whole thing, that was stupid. I'm like, well, you need to go watch Fantasy Island when Tattoo said, boss, the plane, boss, the plane. You get okay? How did it turn out for Doc Rivers and Tim Duncan? Okay. One guy got to two finals, won a ring himself with Orlando. Sink in, okay? Let that sink in. That's all I got to say about that. No, see it. I don't think Jalen Hurts is a bum. I just think that the coach he doesn't have the right ego. You got to have the right ego to coach a potential great player if he's great. If you don't have the right coach, then as opposed to Doug Collins, you got to have the right coach. It takes a certain ego to coach on that level. I'm just saying. I don't care who you got to have the right coach with the right to handle the ego. And I think that's what's happening with Jalen. Jalen and them are tuning out a coach that they don't respect. And you've seen it play out. Josh's problem, because he's asked to be a Superman and tries to take on the characteristics, he tends to they get to fall in love with it. They live and die by him running and getting stripped or throwing bad picks. That's brought up on the coach. Again, a lot it's got to do with coaching too. Well, postseason they tighten their behinds up. That's all that was. You know. They remember that hey, they're at home the whole postseason. That's how got knocked out Bills in the first round. Tyreek got knocked out first round this year too. Yeah. Knocked out in Buffalo, drop ball, knocked out Kansas City. 2 straight years, first round casualty. 2 straight years, championship game. So again, it's a matter of what you choose, what you accept. One guy, he's got stats and a lifestyle, but he ain't where he was. So, Mahomes is a pro's pro. He's tough, he's versatile, and he doesn't settle for mediocrity. So that's how I look at it. You know, some guys they settle for mediocrity, and that's what you get. That's what Tyreek is finding out the hard way. Tua is not on Mahomes' level. You asking me the three of those guys? who I rank them 1 through 3? Is that what you asking me, or am I gonna pick just one? That's the question I want to know. Because if you're asking me those, if I'm gonna rank them 1 through 3, it's tough because I like them for different reasons. The shack of tight ends, and it was uncanny, a freak. Shannon Sharp was like a is a playmaker. Opens up so many other avenues for the receiver that Grunt Sharp didn't do, because Grunt go down the field and was athletic, but Kelsey really makes it a habit of it. So ask me to pick one of those 3. I'm going to take Grunk. Grunk was a dominant presence, but I think Kelsey, because I remember what the Giants before he was incredible. You know, Don Shula's offenses were incredible. Bill Walsh, because remember under Paul Brown, the West Coast offense and then the whole thing, game changers. And most of the best coordinators that did it were back in the day, because a lot of stuff that you see been done, I mean, in terms of minds ever. Wall, Shula, Landry, offensive minds. And it has to translate to coaching, because if it doesn't, when you become a head coach, then you're a lifelong cat. So, Mike Martz had somewhat with the Rams. That was incredible too. Yeah. O.J. Simpson and Howard. That Heisman pose, I mean, I loved it. It was, so yeah. Not saying he was the best one, but then he like was way. See, the thing about college football, it's kind of hard for me to say he was the greatest. I liked all those different reasons. What, like in basketball, that's tough because Clint Rice was bad, Weber was bad. I like those cats. Um, I love Flutie. And I hated that he didn't get to keep the job because I knew he was better than Rob Johnson. As a matter of fact, Flutie, a lot of the NFL will end up coming back towards, because Flutie was something else. It was some magic there. But yeah, D Wade, Lonzo Mourning, my favorite Heats. There were a few others I like. Tim Hardaway. I did like Udonis. Um, That's what I pick on. His defense. He came. Guys were big. I like those guys. I mean, I like Mario Chalmers. Rio used to be the whipping boy for LeBron there, but he came up big though. I like Rio. So you know, if you're asking me to one, I still remember he had some handles for a moment. He had some moments. Um, I like Bam a lot. I like Jimmy Butler a lot. I want to like the other night they asked him a big word and he said that word's too big. You know, and I like Duncan Rhymes to some it's not consistent. Um, Back in the day, Ronnie Sackley was cool. Um, um, you know, Shaq was cool with Miami. He was cool. Um, I mean, I'm gonna give LeBron his due. Bosh was cool. Ray Allen, of course. PJ was tough. You know, um, and they're the first two to come to mind. First two to like a card, Tim Hardaway. You know, so I tend to go with cats that left an impact like a little bit more. So that's all. But there have been some guys that were part of the Heat. You know, so um, yeah, yeah. You asked my favorite coaches for Miami is Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. You asked me Marv Levy, Chuck Knox. Harvard, Michigan. Rich Rodriguez didn't really move me. So those are coaches. You know. And when I talk to, I always like to talk about coach. Like I said, when I talk about fundamentals, I also look at the big picture. I say from top to bottom. I did a video where I talked about it, but you got to have everything. Josh Allen, Steve Tasker, Don Beebe, uh, Joe Cribbs, Jerry Butler, um, uh, Christie, the kicker. No, you keep talking about Eric. I liked Eric, but he wasn't my favorite. I liked his hand. He didn't have the right quarterback at the time. I liked Eric. I like. I know one thing. I remember when Dave Wannstedt came on and tried to diss him and say I wouldn't draft him. He said some bloated mess. I said, just shut up, Magnum PI, you fake Tom Selleck looking turkey. Your fake Tom Selleck wanna be Hawaiian shirt wearing. No Cowboys. It's your head coaching career, but he was hating on Eric. Eric had hops and moves. It's just that we had him at the wrong era. I think I probably would have. I liked him too. I think I've been even more had he came along in an era where it's always timing. Sometimes you see a guy from another year and you say, "Oh, if we had had him, yeah, yeah, he was." He was. He was. Yeah. Some guys, like I said, they stuck around a long time. You know, he was good. He had moments. You know, and, the way their career. I'm not gonna argue with you on in London at all. And again, I like some of those cats you talk about. It's just that some of those cats, for whatever reason, you know, that he was bad. Yeah. So that. Mhm. Well, no, because like when when you get a guy that is tuned, you don't do that. Um, I don't think cats understand how hard it is to be successful in that level. Um, I mean, y- every era is consistent with one thing. You're only going to get a handful of guys who have music or good acting or something. You're only going to get that rare breed that you just, and everybody else that can be great, but there's only room for that special circle. But especially in sports, I mean, sports is one of those things that really, we're talking, if we're talking um, all any of the sports, you know, it's just people you just don't, you don't rile up. Well, because he understands the odds and how hard, contrary to what they think, because you black and you got athleticism that you just magically gonna be just Wonder Negro, and that you don't have to put in the work and the time and effort. And he's letting it be known that hey, I put the work in, and I really do take my job seriously, and I keep bettering myself because I don't have a lot of room for error. Michael Jordan told you it's 80% mental. It's only 20% talent. Everybody who plays on that level got something. How far they go with it is another story. But the one thing you downplay somebody's skill set and act like, oh, I'm gonna try to talk. I mean, you just don't do that. Especially when you ain't played no defense and you aren't on that level. I would tell anybody, all due respect, Josh Allen is not. He's not holding Patrick Mahomes' Jerry curl bottle activator. Yeah, I remember. And Jordan made up. Jordan was so mentally tuned in because he made sure he made small work of him. That's the kind of, and you get one. There's a guy that comes along, talk that talk, because he will definitely back up his walk. And I'm not with it, you know, not with it, especially when you can't beat him. If I'm the Bills, I don't say nothing to Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs at all. He done lost three different ways. I think he pretty much zip your lips. Because one thing I do know about sports too, especially especially in football and having basketball too. Sometimes you don't get back again. Baseball too, you don't get back again. And you ran and popped all the yang, and you're done. Very short lived. You come along in a time period when you see a guy who's got all this and all that, and he never gets back again. 40 years ago, I remember Dan Marino. Thank you. You must have been reading my mind because I was just saying, I just said that. They went against the 49ers. He's going against Montana. And no one ever talked about the Super Bowl. They put the clamps down on the Marx brothers. And he was as great as any quarterback I have ever seen. Okay. Marino had a release out this world. And also a guy that was bad in college, but not like what he ended up becoming as an NFL player. And you better count your lucky stars because you just don't know. You just don't know. Level, the tiers, and now in this day and time too, it's tougher. It's way tougher. At least back in the day, you know, when teams could stick together or something. But nowadays, you know, forget about it. And Marino back then is better than a lot of the stuff you see playing quarterback today. As a matter of fact, he's better than what Tua does on his best day. What Tyreek Hill would have been just like with the Marx Brothers, but it's just the reality. I'm not gonna argue against you. I'm not gonna argue against you. You could make that case. You know, some might throw Johnny Unitas in there. Some might put John Elway in there. I mean, it all depends. But yeah, you can make that case. I'm not gonna argue against that. You know, but Marino had the quickest release I'd ever seen. He, but again, they didn't have a running game. Always knocking on the door. You know, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. You know, tough. Very competitive. Wound socket. Fouts was a Fouts was a stat machine. I mean, he had Wes Chandler, Charlie Joyner, and John Jefferson, and Kellen Winslow Sr. That was one of the best. Uh, Fred Dean, who went to 49ers. Okay. Well, Moon was black, but I didn't think of him as too black. I mean, he wasn't like, he spoke on some things, but he wasn't like that. He wasn't like, he didn't scare him like Doug Williams scared him. Okay. You want to talk about a brother that scared some folks? That was Doug. I could say Broadway Joe Gilliam, who's actually better than Terry Bradshaw, had to wait in the wings in Pittsburgh. That's another video. Scary because he went to a black college, Tampa Bay, and what he did against him. But Moon was not. Moon was a better quarterback than Doug, but he never had a moment better than Doug. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And see, that's why I like you, WJ. You going back. Turner ended up going to Canada. Had a strong arm too, through some crazy spirals. And I know for a fact he could have matched wits with Steve Burkowski in Atlanta. Had crazy arm, crazy arm. Yep, you remember. Thank you. Old school know what I'm talking about. Thank you. Yeah. Was Tebow too black for the NFL? Because what he ended up doing? Punt return, kick return, special. Yeah, everything but quarterback. Mm-hmm. They did him like they used to do brothers. And he played for everybody in the AFC East almost. I think bull in the behind, bull in the bar. But he had that game against Pittsburgh. He hit that one play. And he bought himself a pass. But they know he sucked though. I know exactly who you're talking about too. I know exactly who you. I forget all about him because that was pre Peyton Manning. Oh, look, no, this is the 90s. I know who you're talking about. T. Martin. So I you know, because I had forgot all about him until you mentioned him, and that was before. That was talking about dating. The growing time period for a lot of people that black. You gotta remember something. If you grew up in the '80s or something, late '70s, '80s, you went from a Doug to a Warren. Randall Cunningham was part of that fruit, and then you gotta go all the way to Steve McNair till you get to Michael Vick. But there was a big old gap. Been more influx of black quarterbacks, but it's still a long ways to go. Like I said, this with Mahomes and Hurt. So it's a long ways to go with that. It's true. It is true. You know. So yeah, because his athletic pose, but also he's articulate, and also because he's not any fouls, and it's hard to digest that. And plus, the fact is, he is a threat. Brady situation. And as much as I do hold Mahomes in high regard, and it's not his fault, but you got or Broadway Joe Gilliam or James Harris or some of those old school brothers had gotten an opportunity what might the top 5 greatest quarterbacks ever look like? It's just been a recent phenomenon. If you really want to be honest, the last 10, 15 years being real. Well, if I'm, it's scary because of his Lamar is like he did not. Everybody had a chance to get Lamar Jackson this offseason, and none of them would budge. The Jets had a chance. Mother, and they came out and they were down. And I remember Bill Poland said he should have been a running back or receiver. He's been dissed more than Mahomes has. They didn't like Mahomes' athleticism, but they like Lamar at all. Because Lamar, if this was another era of the NFL, he would have been like J.C. Watts, who J.C. Watts wound up going into running for office because he was never going to be allowed to be a quarterback in the NFL because they weren't allowing wishbone and pitch and shoot type of quarterback, which they do today. The same way is institutionalized systematic racism. Steve Young blew up in Frisco as a running white quarterback because he sucked in Tampa Bay. And when the LA Express came, he couldn't really quarterback, but because he was mobile. And he had that last name of Brigham Young as his great grandfather. Oh, you know how this stuff go. I don't have to go keep going through this stuff. If you, well, so, well, like I always say, we can't always gauge by college because college can make some people look great. Because I think it was David Carr who was Derek Carr. Don't really go by how great a quarterback is in college because it doesn't always translate to the NFL. Passing on an athletic quarterback was just dumb, and they doing Mr. Fields a disservice. They have no support from him, but I'm not holding that against them. And actually, I'm glad for both those cats they didn't get stuck in Chicago because that's a disaster. They Watson and Mahomes count your blessings. He's a third tier kind, but he is not someone. Oh, Deshaun in college. Debo called him Jordan. Like he was something else in college, and I thought he was going to be the dude that was going to kind of give a scare as quarterbacks go because he always had those games. He had to throw a couple picks or get that out of the system, but then he had a way of rolling that arm and uncanny. Joe Fluke on taking your job, you gonna have a hard time. So I understand why Cleveland did it. I don't think they gonna really have a sway. I don't think they gonna have a sway. I think the Ravens just get into the game and be thinking they're gonna, like Mahomes, you got to keep them frustrated. You got to hope they drop some balls. You got to want to play the field position game. I'm not blaming that at all. Mahomes, you earn calls eventually if you're a winner. Well, Taylor Swift ain't gonna have no sway with, so I can't even use that as no factor. He came out and did everything I told Ted that Buffalo wasn't supposed to do. He sat there, he posted, he ran. They sat there and let him run all over him. He did what he usually does against them. So no, because they had some bad moments this year. They had receivers that were dropping balls, being off sides, and looking lazy. And that's got more to do with the management than it does anything on the field, you know. So Kelsey is gonna get into the thing because He looked a little left-footed, you know. Here ain't no sway. That's like saying Giselle had a sway with Brady, and Atlanta just choked that Super Bowl. But Giselle didn't help him against Philly, so you know. Jessica Simpson, a whole lot of beauties up there. I think they got money for Mike. It's not for Justin Jefferson. I think they had the money for Evans. Evans to me would be the most sought after receiver going. To me. I mean, he's the ideal dude. Jefferson is what you want, but Minnesota ain't gonna part with him unless they get a boatload. But if Holmes is definitely going to be a guy like that easily. Mike Evans might get him one. Jefferson that's about 2 to 3. That's not even including what happens Sunday and beyond. So that's how big a cat like that would be. Hmm. They'll make money if they want to make money, but again, if Kel they'll pick up somebody good. They tend to get the right pieces for what they got. You know, bringing up the Bills defense, and that's another thing. When we lost to them, they were the most physical receivers we went up against. They really did bang us up. So that would be a good fit. They have to do something though. They have to, because Josh Allen will run himself to an early grave if he keeps trying to be Captain Safe. Taking all them poundings and those beatings. Uh, so I wouldn't on them. They have to make a move. They can't beat Cincinnati. They too light in the cakes for them. See, I'm being real as a Bills fan. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They get punched in the mouth against physical, better teams. They beat up on teams that are missing parts, and they can win some games, but they can't beat the heavyweights. I know Burrow was playing would be problematic for him. I know because he didn't beat us up too much. But Higgins, that's the kind of player that the Bills would need. Burrow's a bad boy, but I didn't like it when they tried to say he was a better quarterback and Mahomes was a better player. I didn't like that mess. I'm saying so. Heck no. No, 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 no. He will not go to the Texans and he's not going to the he will go somewhere that has a more prorated Lamar really wouldn't think. Kansas City or Buffalo. And yeah. Even in Philly he'd be scared. Texans don't really need him. They got a nice young core, not at this stage. I don't think Lamar and him would really coexist like that because Lamar likes certain type of receivers. I don't think he would. I think they go after D Hop. I think D Hop would Baltimore. Yeah. And Adams in Texas, I'll give you them two. Mike Evans, I'd say KC Buffalo. More with veteran, more certain type of quarterback. That's what I say. I could be wrong, but that's what I say. I think Mike Evans with KC or Buffalo would be scary. I D Hop would be scary with Buffalo, KC. He ain't going back to Houston because that bridge. He let that owner know what he thought of his owner, so that ain't happening. But D Hop with them three, yeah. Then you take Adams. Adams would be scary in Texas. CeeDee Lamb, quiet as his kid, would be scary with the Texans. So yeah, because Houston would have to be on the come up, and I don't know if they quite what Mike Evans would want. Maybe make with Lamar. Our offense. Mike runs different routes because I just again it depends on what you're comfortable with. So most of them, most of them. I mean, I wish everybody had the option to do what Floyd Money Mayweather does to make a mockery because that's the most gangsterous thing I've seen, if I'm honest. Or be like George Foreman and win the title when you're 50, 80, and no one, and you do something that's historic. But you don't want to see guys fighting like B Hop, you know. Yeah, De La Hoya, Pretty Boy was just is a shell. You don't want to see guys that shell of themselves. You want to have that romanticize that Reggie Miller made you still think play. Barry Sanders, you want that kind of situation. It's all beat up and down at the end of their career. Injuries took over or their body was done. But Kobe was like, you don't, don't, you know. So I'd rather have a guy leave you with some twilight where you kind of wonder. But I know why these cats do it because they all want to, you know. But boxing, you get that big bag, and it's kind of tough to turn it down. And depends on what your lifestyle. You remember lifestyle. You got to remember, you know, cats got a lifestyle. They want that bag. So sometime that money or tax liens or something come up, they gotta get that roll. So, but I seen many of them. I saw many of them went way too long. Joe Lewis went too long, but he needed the money. Very few of them get out, um, and it's tough. It's tough to see guys doing it. It really is because it waters things down. He's fighting guys that he can get the bag. That's why he's Floyd Money Mayweather. His tactics and antics, exhibition fighting YouTube guy, fighting different guys. That's a smart move. He's not gonna fight against nobody that would beat him. I'm not even mad at what he's doing because he's doing it the fact that he can still generate enough hype for people that will see him fight some tomato cans at this stage. They're paying for it. But yeah, he's past his pull date, but still, I don't want to see him get somebody. McGregor's already washed. If he fought Floyd, he ain't really been no MMA fighter. He got his butt handed to him the last couple fights he had. He got more energy beating up on vans and you know. So, but he got him a lane though. He's got white. He's got the right skin. Dana White got money on him. They got him covered. That's what's up with him. I haven't been impressed by. The, he's good. Stanley is off the top. I like Max Kellerman, Burt Sugarman. All them cats on Showtime, by HBO, they were my favorites. They articulated it really well. Cassell, you know, mostly the old cats. But Jim Lampley, you needed like a thesaurus when he talked though. Be right back. Get that fire, get that fire, get that fire. All right, I'm back now. I had to. So Tony Teddy Atlas, I don't know if you noticed, he's on Vlad TV and he was talking. Yeah, he typical New York cat. You know, they talk that double talk. I like Miles Lane. I like the way he talked. He was straight shooter. You know, Teddy's got that New York thing. Yeah, he a trip. Yeah, if you peep out the thing on Vlad TV, type George Foreman. He's still taking shots. Mike, they had some tension. You got to understand something. Italian boys and that whole New York thing. That era, you get that real rawness. You get that real rawness of what they think about brothers. That's not for everybody. Some people, if you ain't lived in that area, it can definitely blow your head with how wild they is about what they really think. You know, so yeah, I saw his rapping. It was cute, but what Kellerman he came a long way as a sports analyst because I'm a um what was that Turkey J Mariotti, but he came back with Stephen A. Smith. He was good. Like he been hanging out with Marcellus Wiley. He got some seasoning. I mean, he really stepped his game up. I look at Max Kellerman like I look at Judd Nelson in New Jack City, and I do make pop. I make references about when you get cool, because like I didn't think Judd Nelson was cool. Like I saw Judd Nelson in the Breakfast Club. He was white boy regular, but he with Ice T. He had cool locks, had the hair, had the shades. He got cool, like, and that's how I look at Kellerman. Kellerman got cool, but his knowledge got deep. He said some things up on Kobe the latter part of the OOs, and he said Dwayne Wade and him were about neck and neck, and I felt that way too. I don't know why he caught such backlash for his opinion because I thought he definitely he's one of the best boxing analysts I've ever heard, and he's good on baseball. Man's got the stuff. He just he just got the wrong complexion at the wrong time because Stephen A. was scared of what he was bringing, but he was legit, and they got very lucky because Skip Bayless's arrogance caught him up when they were able to get Shannon Sharp. For a while, Dan Orlowski and them white boys and that real dude, that racist trash, they lost a big one with Kellerman. Kellerman was a real one. Well, you seen that video with Terrell Owens said Terrell Owens came on. That's what I love about T.O. That's why T.O. will never get cats like Terrell Owens, Rasheed Wallace are some of my favorites because they talk. They don't sit there and gloss and get soft. They come out there and tell you. And he got up there and told him, he said, Max is blacker than you are. I will never forget that. Kellerman was when the whole thing with Kaepernick. The only thing Kellerman was off on was time. off a cliff. Brady never fell off the cliff. He never did. Even last when they lost to Dallas, he still looked like he could have played another year or two because he was better. I tell you right now, losing in round one to Dallas to Baker Mayfield, how Baker Mayfield seems you still take Tom Brady. So anyway, that's how I look at that. Hell of an honor, my respect. Hell, Rex Ryan is great as a commentator as long as he was a waste for the Bills. And he did good though. As a matter of fact, Mark Sanchez got the two AFC Championship games, except for the butt fumble, which everyone holds against Mark Sanchez. But that might happen if they respect him enough. I think it depends. So depends. Just don't want him back on the sidelines again. So that's how I say about that. But I like him on. I like the show. Ocho does good with Shannon. Ocho be keeping it real. Ocho's one of those guys. I think he had to stay in Cincinnati or stay a certain particular of his career because he was entertaining. But I always thought of him as a Junior Whopper version of T.O. Good, but never great. And he definitely was out of place with the Patriots. Michelle Beal got upset, old Spurs fan. She was kind of like in a stiff, oh God, um, uh, 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 um, what Michelle Pfeiffer, like a broke Pfeiffer. Um, Malika is what they want. It's a lot of poshness. It's trying to make her, you know. Um, I don't pay the ESPN plantation no mind. Realistically, Kendrick Perkins is probably the one thing they got. Him and Richard Jefferson got that oddball thing on the new Odd Couple. Because Richard comes off like he's just kind of like stiff and yet he's smug and it cracks me up and he fits. And Kendrick, they got Kendrick like he's some grand wizard of opinions. And I'm like, how the mean mugging Meister get all this attention? Doris Burke for my money. I like Rachel Nichols, and then she's working with Skip over on because she got out. You remember the whole thing about Rachel and the sister? They ended up on NBC, right? Because Rachel was trying to say that they affirmed the action, and you know what I'm talking about now. That's why Rachel got up out of there. She went too far. You know, she was down with Jimmy Butler in the room, but she went down with sharing the spotlight with the sister. Because you remember what's her name ended up going to NBC, and Rachel's now over with doing that part-time gig with Skip because she got her butt up out of there. Yeah, that's what happened. She basically tried to almost make it like an affirmative action situation. So they got her butt up out of there. Doris is the only one. Doris bad. Doris is bad. She knows the game. She knows the game. Doris is bad. I like Doris. You know. So yeah, that's what happened with that. You know. So no, she made some remarks about. I think it was Maria Taylor because old girl wound up going to NBC, and what happened was is Rachel Nichols was basically saying I'm supposed to be here before her type of thing, and it got kind of like a racial conflict of interest. That's what happened. It wasn't about that thing with Jimmy Butler because everybody said the ball was bouncing in Jimmy's room in the bubble, and ain't no one said no more about it. And she and Jimmy been always kind of like touchy feely without being touchy feely. But God, that I got when old girl went over to NBC, she thought she's supposed to have been the next in line, and that's what got Rachel in the bond. It got her all caught in her feelings. That's what I heard. That. So it was almost like an affirmative action thing. And some people don't really go into it because Rachel's been like kind of thrown with the brothers because she one of the white girls that didn't mind that, you know. So they had white girls for basketball brothers. I think Dana Jacobson used to do that before she went to CBS. She was stacked too, but she played white all the way, you know. But I'm just saying that's how it was. That's how it's related. Oh yeah, oh yeah. T Mac, see, and he plays that role real well too. He plays that role real well because T Mac comes across real suave with the glasses and it's cool with it. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, they love Steph, and Steph because he's got the devoted husband tag. But of course, Aisha get passed too, so she didn't say some suspect thing, you know. But Steph's cool. He stay cool. He stay cool. He stay cool. Stay cool. I'm sure she didn't make her way around. Quite sure she did. You know. Dinosaur is her stepmama, and they the whole Hollywood thing. So that whole bag, you know how they go. They'll make Rachel Nichols look like she was the Barbara Waters of sports female anchors or something, and she'll come up with some memoir, and she got stretched. Steph is kind of hard to figure out because he's got crossover appeal, and he does get back to Howard University. He is a brother. He's not cornball like Russell Wilson. So and he does speak out on certain things, even though why he distanced himself from Draymond's hood antics and stereotypism does bother. If we must know, if you must know, but I don't look at him as a buck dancer. But I do question some of his. I know he's down with E40. I know about the Bay, but the Draymond thing, I think there's certain things he don't speak out on, and sometimes he do. Now, as far as the swinging bit, I have seen some women at the games in Golden State. They've been looking at him, and and he been getting sized up, black and white, in them situation. And Aisha did put out that she was getting through some self confidence issues because she was feeling in her feelings. I think after having the kids and feeling a bit older, I don't know, being a housewife and cookbooks and stuff wasn't enough. So I don't know. I can't tell with Steph because remember the whole thing with Steph's father and parents, and he went on and won the ring. So don't read too much into it with Steph. He tuned it out. Don't read, stuff ain't normalized there, but he's been able to keep it going. Roscoe, what you mean? Tell me. Roscoe was check. Oh, okay, the actress. Okay, okay, okay. Probably so. Yeah. Oh yeah. Probably so. Probably so. Probably so. Probably so. I mean, they were alphas at the time, so I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing would surprise me. Nothing. Nothing would shock me. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah, I think I saw what you're talking about. I just said kind of. I mean, yeah, stuff gets gross. Stuff gets, like I said, I've seen stuff. I've seen some stuff. It was going around. Yeah, women checking. People do. And I haven't heard nothing off the cuff with him. Nobody said anything would that he did anything. Usually, three or four cats, um, and they go look. I think, but it's been a minute though. Let me go look. I'll tell you something though. I think I know the interview you're talking about, and it's been a while. Because I do remember something, but I didn't really make a big deal about it because let's see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember her now. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. She did. Yeah, it's coming back. Yeah, I do remember that. Mm, yeah, oh yeah, she started. Jeez. Yeah, I love Pam Oliver. Pam was like a throwback. She's a soul, so she's almost got like a sis. She knew her stuff, and she wasn't playing. I think, well, somebody was on the sideline trying to correct and professional. If she was white, they'd be putting her up there. Well, they'd have had her. She was that good. She would have definitely had Mike Tirico love. I have seen MJ Acosta, but again, I don't watch NFL Network a whole lot, but I've seen her before, and I definitely remember Ross Gold in it though. I seen Teresa Thompson, yes. She gets around. She bad. And I seen Wendy Nix too. hmm They got some bad ones. Got some bad ones. They never get primetime network shows though. Wonder why? You know why? Because them hounds would have to put a gate between what they do. Teresa had a little something going on. I think she was doing right when before Shay Shay came over to NFL Network and when Dion. So yeah, yeah, I seen him. Seen her too, Christina. I seen her. See, generally I caught some of the other ones y'all mentioned, but you know, so you know, there's some bad ones. Hmm. The same. It look like it. Huh? I like Lisa Salters too. Lisa's one of the most pros people I know. I like Lisa Salters. Okay, what year we talking about? We talking about that they baddest? We talking about they baddest or badder? Or we as baddest? It's pretty close. Cause Jenny was a babe back in the '90s when she was Shaq white dude manager before she got with Jim Carrey. She was a babe when she did the. Yeah, we talking now with Jenny the blowout, but it was close back then too. Before she got with Carrey, she was messing with a bad white girl. They had a lot of talent, but she was bad. If you talking about Inkwell era Jada to about um, with the short boppy hair and all that, Jada Minister Society to about Woo era, but it was close. It was close because Jenny was bad. Jenny bad. Jenny in the blowout. I don't know because she messing with old Wahlberg, so I don't know, and I've never seen her with a brother. And you must know something I don't know because she been married to Donnie Wahlberg, new kids for going on to 16 years, and I ain't seen them more. Nia, because if it's a weave or not, she be doing things to my head. But I know she's a problem. I know crazy. Fine though, but crazy though. Fine though, but crazy. Cray cray, but stack, but cray cray. That's why Udoka had to go elsewhere. So she be trying to make you wait and be playing games. Stack though. Taraji bad, and Taraji you probably get more out of though. And they kind of similar, but there's differences though. Taraji got that. Taraji bad. But Nia, you be just still daydreaming about. It's that hair though. That hair be making me crazy with Nia though. That hair be making me crazy. Got me crazy. Just like that song by the boys, you got me crazy. Nia's hair be getting me crazy. Yeah. Priscilla Rashad. You mean Felicia Rashad? Peggy. Felicia was bad. Felicia Rashad was bad in the 80s. Peggy was stacked. But Felicia had it going on. Felicia had it going on. I mean, she had her hair. She was looking good to me in the Cosby era. I mean, she was stacked. She's a nice looking woman. I think she's still a nice looking woman. So, but Peggy's got that body, that jumpity jumpity jump. So it all depends on what you're looking at. I like the Neil Long Taraji one. That was a good debate there. But yeah, Jenny McCarthy was messing with the white boys every time. She had that one cat that was the manager before she messed with Jim Carrey, and then she got with Wahlberg. I think she rubbed shoulders on shows, but I don't think nobody was like, unless she did, it was on the low low, and maybe the Mexican boys. So, but you can tell she was white sponsored because, like I said, marginal talent, but did those candies commercials and all those ads. So that's what's up. So Peggy Bundy versus Jack Hay is who you trying to say. And Jack Hay would run Peggy Bundy off the road body wise. Jack Hay was crazy stuff. Soft and juicy. I like Peggy Bundy, but Jack Hay was. I know when you say 227, you talking about Jack Hay. Jack Hay was stacked. Please. And Peggy was bad. But that's like asking me Peggy Bundy versus Kirstie Alley when Kirstie was in her prime. I'm taking Kirstie though. That was stacked. I'm taking Jack Hay. Oh yeah. Yeah, Leah Remy's bad. Yeah, yeah. Real deal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So give you that here too. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which Aunt Viv? If you talking about the Viv, she had that perm. She was bad, and she Pam got the bio, but ain't the original OG Pam. If you're talking about the Michelle Maxwell, the second Aunt Viv, she was fine back in the day. Probably gonna go with Pam though. Pam had that body that just is dreamy. But both Anvils, but in different ways. Depends on where we coming from. But Pam, give Pam the edge though. But it appeals though. The dark skin Anvil had that perm, which she was holding. She was tight. She smelled good too. You could tell. And then light skin on Anvil was that's Tim Reed's wife. She was a banger back in the day. She did them old videos with the whispers. Pam was just stacked up. So it depends on your criteria. You talking about Dana Plato. You could have been talking about Mrs. Garrett, but Miss Garrett was holding with that. Kim Fields was cute. Kim Fields got right as she got older. Blair was bad, and and the white girl was holding. OG Youngville was tight though. Dana Plato was on point. She said them drugs had other things with her, but she was, she was. Dana Plato was nice. And I like it when you go back because we go back and you start. I remember very well. You know, Dana was. I didn't really like trip on her like that, but yeah, she was. But you got to remember there was a lot going on back then with different finance and women. So when you have those discussions, it depends on which era and what your criteria is. But yeah, so sad about Dana too. Most part because Gary Coleman, Ty Bridges, and her all went through it. Yeah, I give Myra the edge. I had to think on Family Matters for a moment, but yeah, yeah, she was. Yeah, give me that. Because I remember, still watch that show back in the day. That was one of my standby shows. I think I know what you're talking about too. The light skin one. I think I know what you're talking about. Well, it depends on which era Madonna you're talking about. You give me the Madonna from 85 to about the Like a Prayer. I'll say she has her era from the 90s to when she did Undercover Brother. Up until she did that Ray of Light mess, she got a little too thin. Madonna had better ears for me. I'm gonna give a slight nod to Carmen, slight. But if Madonna was at her, I'd say 85 to 89, especially like a prayer when she had her dark hair and she fixed herself with hair, she got a little more weight on her when the Papa Don't Preach era. So again, depends. But Carmen was bad though. She one of the few chicks to leave Prince and actually have a career despite not really having much talent, but Prince didn't put the curse on her like he did some of the other women. So I give her props, hustling and keeping it going. I give her props. Prince didn't kill her off. No, he did curse to Scott Thomas. So Kristen Scott Thomas. So, but Madonna was looking all right until that too. Didn't really care for that body wash. She got herself back together during the Bedtime Stories era, but I still think her mid 80s were her best. Oh, Michelle Obama in a blowout. Melania cracks me the outfit she wear. But Obama, Michelle has got a better natural beauty. As token arm candy and looks lifeless. You know, there's life. It looks wooden. So Michelle got her beat. Michelle got better hairstyle, got more, Lonnie just looks like, and it's like it's something there, but it's just a shell. But that's what happened when you miss old grandpa and all that mean racist ways. Got that store bought up face, bought and paid for. So, oh, you talking about the Candace Parker? I was talking about Candace Owens. My bad. Uh, my bad. When I saw Candace, you got me good. Parker, pretty good. I know about the home team and all that, but the hair, I just think that yeah, I think something about the way she poses when she's sitting there with Shaq and them on that and Jamal Crawford. She just yeah, yeah. Malika's cute stuff, but there's a lot of Malika looks. There's a lot of look like Malika. Depending on where you live, you know what I'm talking about. But Candace got it kind of gives me a little bit more. I think that personality is what works against Malika too, because a lot of cats, she would have been the type, but Candace got it. Candace ain't interested, but Candace got it. But you know, that has started in childhood, but that disdain started a long time ago. Because again, on and then what you become to accept. So you spend like 20, 30 years and you seeing that this is not acceptable, that's acceptable. So, you know, it's corporate America and she's in the corporate world. And, she sold her soul for that game. That's the reality. So, you know, it's kind of late now with that. But she will still get a wake up call. But that's the sad reality of what's going on. You know, sooner or later you got to come back home in some form of capacity, though. Yeah, you always get that in families. That's common. But Malika wanted the crossover life and she knew what it meant. You know, that's what happens in some cases. You get to be on TV, I give you a big check, I give you an audience, and you're not going to be seen as just a black journalist. You're going to be seen as this is what they do. So that's the price you pay. Some are cool with it. Some will never. Some will never. It all depends on what you're willing to accept. Malika wanted the bag, and that's how it's being taught. It's funny how you can come out the same vessel in the same place, but you get a different interpretation on your life. And that's what happened. So that's not an educated guess. That's a reality in black and white. Well, I don't know. I think she'll land back on her feet. I mean, Jamel's got a career, so Malika will get something. Stephen A. don't really care. I mean, he's invested. He's near retirement. I don't imagine, you know, they would exhaust everything to keep a little bit going on till he gets to 60 plus. So he's gonna, invest and carry himself like everything is cool. Um, I think Stephen A's real wake up call was when he caught COVID and he got real sick and he's lost his weight and he's gotten back to better health and taking care of himself. But as far as like tap dancing for the master, he ain't gonna change. You don't know. To answer your question with that, only if ESPN does what just happened with Sports Illustrated, and I just did do a folded the chair on all their workers. Everybody got let go. So there's no more SI. So if they fold and go digital or go robot, or they just do it where they where they don't do live studio, they cut that out, you know. Besides, he got upset when people were doing local broadcasting and doing, trying to diss people. You don't have to shuffle and buck to do this entertainment and have sports commentary and be balanced. But that's the older gen. So, but there'll always be a platform for people who want to shuffle though, because that's what they like on the plantation. They'll find a way. He won't though. McAfee wants to be like Joe Rogan, eventually like Bill Maher. They set him up for was up for something. They used the sports jump off, just like Dana Jacobson, and that's what they set him up for. Maybe get you know McAfee's just kind of like a Tony Robinson using sports as a vehicle, and he's not even that entertaining. But they got money in him. He's kind of flat to me though. But because him and Aaron Rodgers slurps him up, that's what the hype is. They're always looking for a younger, cheaper one. The problem with that is that they got to have some personality, and they got to get them to be generic and centralized to selling towards a certain demographic. They don't do that much anymore. So good luck with that. So, all depends on what they're looking for. Well, you gotta remember he's gonna play well because he's got a certain his own eye candy in the stands. You know he's messing with Kardashian. See, Odell ain't missing a beat. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. He's done pretty good there. He made himself into the first marketable wide receiver I've ever seen. And what I mean by that, he's the first receiver who had one catch that defied his whole career. And he caught on like a sensation. But can't say for something that I can't see gets to a Super Bowl, he'll definitely endorsement stuff because he obviously with the Rams it didn't finish up the way it's supposed to. So he's a renter. He's a renter center. He's a renter center receiver. Can't recall another receiver with quite the spotlight with capacity, but that's where he's at. So interesting. But if you think he's the X factor, I'm gonna keep an eye on him. Yeah, nobody wants to talk about Detroit on the personal side. Well, if they made the Super Bowl, that would be huge because that would be the one that you didn't see coming. But I wouldn't. It wouldn't shock me. I mean, if you want my honest opinion, Baltimore should be the team. Baltimore and Frisco are the teams picked. That's what it looked like on paper and everything. Nothing would shock me though. I'm not blown away by neither Baltimore nor Frisco, if I'm honest though. Frisco looked very vulnerable and for a half suspect. So I haven't seen a dominant team. Detroit does enough to get by and get through. It's gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game. If they can neutralize Mac or Debo and make Purdy have to play quarterback, they got a chance. But if they let Frisco move the ball, dictate the clock, shorten the field on them, and make it a high scoring game, they're going to get blew out. I don't think Detroit's got the kind of offense to go toe to toe with Frisco like that unless they get some turnovers or get some punts and make it a half field, make it an ugly mob slot game. I don't like their chances because I think Frisco is looking forward to just running the field on them. But it's not far fetched that Detroit could go and win. I'm not 100 on Frisco. They should be bar none, but that don't mean nothing. And ironically, even though the AFC is the better division, I didn't think that I didn't see the I did to be the best two teams in the NFC playing. That's interesting because even though they got the two best quarterbacks, I don't know if they were the two best teams left. But it's gonna be interesting. But I can say Frisco and Detroit for sure in the AFC. I'm sure the refs will. I'm sure they will. I don't nothing that's gonna get in the way. If anything, Detroit will want some calls, but I don't know. So anyway, everything's been all cool in the game. Great to come through. Great to have conversation. Appreciate you, Wilbur Teed, always. Appreciate that. That was cool. Glad people come through. I'll be doing it again tomorrow. I'm gonna come out a little early. Let's see. Okay, is that okay? Is that true? Okay. Will, Will, that's actually real. Well, if that's actually the case, two of them guys are gone. Two of those guys are gone. I'm not blaming it on Bass at all. Kickers miss kicks. That's not why they lost the game. Diggs dropped a big pass, but that's not why they lost the game. Coaching is the whole game. Quarterbacking is half the whole game. That's where it was lost. The problem with Buffalo, and I think it was Nick Wright, Broussard, and other cat, they said it best. I watched First Things First. They said it best. They played the game to keep up. They didn't play to win. They were so scared of Kansas City, they did not ever have an identity. So therefore, they already were ready to lose. That's coaching, and that's your quarterback who was running yards and throwing for the same amount, but he didn't even break 200 yards passing. He was too scared of throwing picks. He wasn't being himself. He ran the ball. He almost fumbled that ball away. If you remember that one fumble, well, actually, did have that one play, But the problem with them is that they got mentally taken out at home. That's on the coach, and then that's on the quarterback. You can get mad at Diggs for dropping the rock, and you can get mad. Coach did not prepare you to win. He wanted you to be even Steven. That's where they lost. And they got a whole nother year to think about what it coulda, shoulda that they didn't finish. So I don't want to hear Josh Allen blaming nobody except himself. You got to win that game. You missed that pass in the end zone. You had a couple of things you could have done differently. You know, you did not play to win that game. You played to stay even with them. Tell the truth. You can't touchdown in the end zone. That could have been worse. Kansas City could have put up 35 points on you. That's not an effort. The defense let you down, and you did not get the job done. So you lost another way. 5 straight years of losing another way. Point fingers at who you want, but look at yourself in the mirror, like Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror. Why y'all lost? Because your coach got out coached. Thing except smart. So I'm not trying to hear anything about the refs or the banana peels, the snowballs. Y'all let Mahomes go up and down that field. Y'all let them run over you. You let Kelsey, you move the ball on you. They didn't punt the whole game. So, and you had to go for it on fourth down a couple times. You were scared. Tell the truth. So I don't want to hear no more about you know, you were scared. Check your diaper because you left something in there. You were scared of Kansas City. And he's a handful. But don't sit there and blame. You haven't beaten this man when it counted. You beat him in the regular season, and that took some luck because if dude don't be all, you might not make the playoffs if you lose that game in KC. They almost beat you again. So, I'm not trying to hear that mess. Mm-hmm. I blame the refs plenty of times, but sometimes psychologically, you keep losing the way you do. It's not the refs' fault. You're just not up to par. They're a better team than you. They got your number. And you better you better go call Bill Belichick to figure out how to steal some signs or something because you just lose different ways. And he always looks better than you. He always makes that one or two plays that you can't make. Got your number. Got your defense beat. Because even when Milano's out there or not, with Tyreek Hill or not, they find a way to beat you. Sometimes it's just a better man wins, better team. So you can romanticize if you won't, but they gotta make some changes. I doubt Diggs wants to come back. I know Bass wants to, and if I Sean McDermott, I don't know more chin. You got one more year if you're lucky. I wouldn't give it to you because I don't think he ain't working. So I'd say they need to change the decks there, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to roll. We'll be back tomorrow. Hope everybody come back tomorrow. It was great as always. Appreciate you. Thank you, Ted Wilbur, Philly Mamba, everybody that came through. And the questions were great. We're gonna do it again tomorrow. All right, I'm out. Have a great night. Stay safe. Be careful. Stay warm out there. Peace.